It was the festival of the witches. Usually the town had 400 or 500 people in it. That autumn night, there were thousands. It was a French town with a French name, Tresserre, but it felt like a different country. It was almost a different country. It was Catalonia, and Catalonia is the sort of place where there are bound to be fireworks. Starting at the coast, the journey is up and down the Pyrenees, into Languedoc, and back to the sea near Montpellier. As you go south, there comes a point where Paris is suddenly very far away and the rest of France becomes irrelevant. There are new relationships, a kinship of the sun among those who live around the Mediterranean. I began at Collioure, haunt of artists, Picasso, Cézanne, you name it, they were here, soaking up colour. It's a funny sort of place to start, actually. I mean, sea level, to go up to the top of the Pyrenees? But between the mountains and the sea stretches a plain of vineyards and villages, the Roussillon part of Languedoc-Roussillon, the largest wine-growing area in France. And there, near Tresserre, the vineyard of the Vaquet family, with Vernon Vaquet watching over an empire of magnificent juice.
On peut manger?
Oui, vous pouvez manger et
oui?
cueillir.
Oh, ok, merci.
Oui, oui, allez-y, mais c'est dur pour cueillir.
C'est dur, oui.
Oui, c'est dur.
Non, ça ne vient pas.
Ça vient, oui.
Mais ça c'est une jolie grappe, oui?
C'est une jolie grappe.
So sweet, they were almost table grapes. It's good land, passed down from father, grandfather. You love the land, he said. You've got to. It's so hard up and down the hills all
Oui,
day.
oui, oui. C'est dans ma famille, quoi. C'était à mon père, à ma mère, mon père, mon grand-père, et en avant, vous voyez.
Ah.
Oui, oui.
Et ça donne le bonheur pour être propriétaire d'un terrain
Enfin,
comme ça?
c'est avec plaisir qu'on le cultive, puisqu'on est venu à la terre, parce qu'il faut avoir l'amour de la terre pour cultiver dans nos coteaux. Parce que ça paraît pas, ça monte et ça descend. Hein. Et quand vous avez fait ça toute la journée, et le soir, vous n'avez pas envie d'aller au bar.
Ah, oui.
Most of the pickers have been coming here for years. Like most of the others in Roussillon, they're from over the border. Communication is in Catalan.
Colliu ben bé, poseu les fulles dins del bidon i si hi havia un rim que era pas massa bonic, el seguiu. Val millor, perquè cal fer una...
You have to watch quality at every stage. Keep out the leaves, the rotten fruit. Don't leave the grapes in the sun. Rush them back to the cave where it all happens. Stuck-up sort of people, joggers. There's one cave for every 50 inhabitants of Tresserre. Great and small, of course, but this one is great in its ambitions, if not in the size of its workforce. As well as Vernon Vaquet, there's his daughter-in-law, Frédérique, who comes from Burgundy, and her husband, Bernard. Both of them making wine in their own right. And that's all there is apart from the Vaquet's secret weapon.
Chirurgien, vous le trouvez comment ce vin? Bien?
Aussi bien que l'autre tout à l'heure.
Ok. Je vais faire goûter le rouge qu'on avait dégusté hier.
Ah, si vous voulez, oui.
Pour voir comment il a évolué.
André Bruchira is a high priest of wine, not just an expert, but a rector of the French Union of Enologists, and a good friend of the family.
Qui commence à faire manger.
Mais c'est le chou.
He takes a glass of this year's fruit juice and smells its future.
Vous pouvez connaître pas ça.
Oui, parce qu'on sent les arômes.
Taste, taste, and taste again has been his life. Taste today, taste tomorrow, taste many times a day.
Alors, quelque chose qui est très important, alors, c'est de goûter.
Il faut goûter tous les jours et toutes les cuves.
Tous les jours.
50 à 60 vins par jour.
60.
Et des fois plus.
60 wines. Every day? Once?
Tant que le vin n'est pas fini.
Oh, what
Pas
a,
toute l'année.
what a job.
Nice work if you can get it.
Vous aimez le métier?
Ah ouais, j'adore mon métier.
Then the road starts going up, and the vines vanish. It's still pretty much the foothills of the Pyrenees when you come to the village of Taurinia and the tiny restaurant Chez Marie-Thérèse.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour,
Voilà,
bonjour.
ben justement, j'allais cueillir des feuilles, là, si vous pouvez
Ah ouais.
bien m'aider.
Ah,
Là.
les feuilles?
Oui,
C'est
là.
là?
C'est là.
Celui-ci?
Voilà.
Bon.
Merci, une autre, là.
Ah, un autre?
C'est bon. C'est pour faire mes salades.
Ah,
Et pour
c'est-
faire mes enchilades, là. Oh,
Oh,
pardon.
pardon. On va le manger?
Non, les feuilles, ça se mange pas. Les feuilles, c'est pour la garniture.
Ah, garniture.
Voilà. Vous
Bon.
voulez vous installer, s'il vous plaît, par
Merci,
là-bas.
merci.
Voilà.
It's family lunch today with traditional Catalan recipes.
Et la cuisine catalane, c'est une cuisine simple ou
Très
compliquée?
simple,
C'est
très
solide,
simple,
je
très
crois.
simple.
Parce que on est
Solid,
dans-
straightforward cooking for mountain people.
Mais c'est des trucs faciles à faire.
She's making a load of Catalan meatballs,
C'est bon. C'est bon. Alors là, je commence à faire mes boules. Hein. C'est à peu près une.
about the size of small cannonballs.
Hein. Ça, c'est une
Oh,
boule.
ils sont
de chocolat.
gros.
Ah oui.
Marie-Thérèse loves her cooking and loves her country. Her family was once Spanish and is now French, but always Catalan.
Ça fait beaucoup pour vous d'être catalane?
Oui, j'en suis fière, bien sûr. Mais catalane française, pas catalane espagnole.
Ah,
Non.
ah oui, il y
C'est
a
pas
une
pareil.
différence.
Ah oui. C'est pas pareil du tout. Non.
Ils veulent s'échapper. Ouais, ouais. Est-ce que vous en avez mangé déjà de ce...
Non, j'ai jamais vu aucune chose de ma vie comme ça, il faut dire.
Basted with bacon fat.
Mais ils sont encore vivants.
And
Ça, c'est dans
kind.
le logo, l'escargot.
Ah, oui.
Ah oui, c'est une base essentielle, ça. Ouais.
Mais ce n'est pas gentil aux escargots.
Trouble is, I'm not really a snail man at the best of times. I mean, I garden with them regularly, but that's about as far as it goes. Also, I could see where they were going to end up.
Eh bien, bon appétit, hein?
Il y a beaucoup là.
Non.
Non?
On peut
Il
manger de 20 à 25 facile. Hein. Voilà.
20 à 25.
Je vous en mets comme ça, quand vous
Oui.
2 dozen?
prendrez. Et bon appétit. Voyons.
Qu'est-ce qu'il...
Voyons, regarde un peu, voyons qu'est-ce qu'il fait, qu'est-ce qu'il les aime ou quoi, hein?
Oh, je sais pas, mais ça... Oh.
Ah, ça c'est bien ça. Oula. Son premier escargot, faites un vœu.
Make a wish? I rather wish I wasn't eating them. Oh, I don't know.
Ah, mais vous l'avez pas goûté encore, le... Mais écoutez,
C'est bon.
mais goûtez-le. Regardez
I'm
ça.
sorry to say that they were the best snails I've ever tasted. Meaty and fresh. La cargalade is a cult among Catalan dishes, and I can see why.
Ah ben c'est vrai que mon mari fait les escargots comme il faut, hein. Oh Dieu.
On n'en a jamais douté.
Ouais. Et voilà les boules de picoula. Voilà. Maintenant, c'est Tom qui va se régaler. Voilà votre boule de
Mais
picoula.
tout ça, c'est pas possible.
Oui,
Sinon, on va se vexer. Hein.
Mais c'est les Catalans baked beans. Vous connaissez les baked beans? Super.
Goûtez-moi mes boules.
Et les boules aussi.
Comme elles sont moelleuses.
The meatballs were vast.
Excellent.
And after the meatballs, the duck, the pig's trotters with parsley, then we got on to their quite impossible language.
Allez.
C'est très difficile à dire le catalan, n'est-ce pas? Parce que c'est tous les et les n'est-ce pas?
Oui, il y a quelques difficultés particulières. Comme
Perfect for tongue twisters.
Par exemple, vous voulez un exemple d'une
Oui,
phrase?
oui.
Par exemple, pour voir si les gens savent prononcer le catalan, on leur fait dire un carro carregat de pedres per la carretera corre.
Répétez.
Plus lentement, un carro carregat de
Un
pedres
carro carga de
Pedres.
perres
per la carretera
par la carretera
corre.
corre.
Voilà, c'est pour ça.
Par la carretera. Voilà.
N'ha portat un violon per fer ballar les millones. N'ha portat un violon per fer ballar els millones. Joan del Riu n'és arribat amb una carga de monilles. Joan del Riu n'és arribat amb una carga d'escarbats. I n'ha portat un violon per fer ballar les millones. N'ha portat un violon per fer ballar els millones.
I don't know why they do this. To let the wine breathe on the way out? To let you breathe on the way in? A more congenial way of washing your face? Oh well, some can do it, some can't. And from Tournier, I came to Villefranche-le-Conflent, and my indispensable accessory for cycling up the Pyrenees, the little yellow train. Yellow and red, like the Catalan flag, Le Petit Train Jaune has become a symbol of Catalonia. It's only a narrow-gauge railway, but the landscapes through which it passes are wide open. And it stops very close to the sky. It's rather more accommodating of bicycles than many other lines, which only have 1 or 2 trains a day that carry bikes, usually at an ungodly hour. As to the question of whether it's cheating to swan up 5,000 feet in just over an hour, I feel that this is a matter for the individual conscience. My personal position is quite clear.
Ah, merci, monsieur.
Voilà.
Merci indeed. Thank you very much.
Voilà. Au revoir, au revoir.
And alighting at Odeyo, you step into the sunniest part of France. A monument of mirrors to Professor Felix Trombe, guru of solar energy, and a scientist so persuasive that he got the French government to build 3 solar furnaces, of which this is the only one still at work. Claude Royer worked with him, lucky man.
I know it's very important and very expensive, but it's also the most wonderful toy I think I've ever seen.
You are right, and I think that Professor Trump thought also that it was a very beautiful toy. But in fact, you see only the facility, but what we do with is also a toy.
In more senses than one, I think. This is an enlightened enterprise.
Yes, and the main idea you must understand is that Professor Traum, when he began to start playing with these kind of toys in 1946, the idea he had was to build facilities for getting very high temperature, simply, and processing materials and testing materials. But today, many people ask us, what do you do? They do not understand processing materials and achieving high temperatures, but they understand making energy, converting energy, and we do not convert energy here with this facility. The purpose is only making very, very high temperature.
Do you feel the magic of it still?
Oh yes, very often.
I find it wonderful. Claude Royer, who works with it every day, he still finds it wonderful. It's the light from heaven combined with science fiction. They tested the tiles for the space shuttle here. No wonder it was attractive to a nation that, unlike some others, is not afraid of modernity and progress. And in the fields around it, placidly, cows. The mountains here crown a Shangri-La of a valley, La Cerdagne, which is half in France, and over there turns into Spain. But before you get to the Spanish border, you get to the Spanish border, since a tiny chunk of Spain has become accidentally detached and lies inside France like an island. Libya was cut off centuries ago by the Treaty of the Pyrenees, as any guide will tell you.
Welkom in Libya, Spaanse enclave in Frankrijk. De oorsprong van deze stad gaat verloren in de wereld van de legende.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Buenos días.
Spanish schools, police, post office, everything. And out you go. How to cycle right across Spain in 20 minutes. Half an hour if you stop for tapas. But the great thing about being up among the snow caps with Mount Canigou is that what has come up, by whatever means, can now only go down. Heading back into France, a modest descent of some 30 miles, illustrating Vernon's first law of bicycling gravity. Do not be alarmed if your cycling progress seems to be slower than others. You can pass anything, providing that you are going down and it is coming up. The only exception to this rule is the cow, which we will come to later. Later, Vernon's first law of cows. The cow is a practically immovable object, which is not to say that you will find it irresistible unless you particularly like cows. Trees, rocks and river make up the narrow valley of the Aude, apart from a couple of decaying villages which were once spas. Difficult to imagine they might have been fashionable once, but they have charm, even in decay. And only at the gorges of Saint-Georges do the road and river begin to level out and prepare for a more seemly progress down the valley. After 30 miles, it was almost exciting to think of going uphill. Almost. They have 3,000 hours of sunshine a year in the Pyrenees. I had the other ones. I was climbing east to cross the Corbière, but at Coucagnan it was raining still. The castles of Quéribus and Perpétuus, there for all to see on the postcards, but otherwise invisible in the mist. They call them Cathar castles, after the peaceful and rather agreeable heretics who retreated to them in a vain attempt to escape persecution in the Middle Ages. I was no longer in Catalonia, but moving out into a different country, Occitania, now known for its contribution to the wine lake, but formerly an ancient and important culture with its own language. It is the land where they say oc for yes instead of oui. A poetic, free-thinking country, for the troubadours were here, and the Cathars were only at the start of a local enthusiasm for dissent and equality. Not that this did the Cathars much good. Their last priest was burned here at Villarouge-Terminez in 1333. I travelled along the Canal du Midi to Béziers, and then on to the elegant old town of Pézenas, which is famous for two things. The first being Molière, who came here with his band of travelling players and found inspiration for the comedies he was to write later. The second has nothing comic about it at all, being a rather small, nondescript-looking pastry, which is absolutely everywhere in the boulanger and pâtissier of the town, the Petit Pâté of Pézenas, which was created by the personal chef of Lord Clive of India when his master was in brief exile in the town and suffering terribly from Mediterranean cooking.
En fait, Lord Clive aimait beaucoup les petits pâtés parce qu'il n'aimait pas trop la cuisine méditerranéenne. À savoir qu'il y a trop d'ail, trop d'oignons, c'est trop épicé.
Too much garlic.
Et son cuisinier indien lui faisait des petits pâtés.
Ah, c'était une anglais typique alors.
Voilà. Et quand il est parti pour remercier la ville, il a laissé la recette du petit pâté.
Ah. Won't have one just now. I'm saving myself.
Des pouvoirs qui lui sont conférés selon le rituel
Small though it is, the Petit Pâté is by no means without dignity. It has a worshipful company of piemen and pie ladies sworn to defend its honour.
Boulanger et pâtissier.
The Confrérie des Petits Pâtés de Pézenas.
Vice-roi des Indes. La très noble et très gourmande confrérie ici assemblée va inviter les impétrants à s'engager par 5 fois à défendre et illustrer le petit pâté de Pézenas. Veuillez jurer.
This is one of their most sacred ceremonies, sworn on the rolling pin. I've never sworn to a pie before. I've sworn at a few. But never mind, because I'm about to discover what Lord Clive and his Indian chef and hundreds of years of making this cherished local delicacy are all about. An apocalyptic experience. I've just sworn to say that.
Excellent. Oui. On appelle ça en anglais un mince pie.
Mince pie, il a dit.
Mince pie, mince pie. Ben, c'est anglais, oui.
Mince pie.
Oui.
Ah, il a dit
merci.
c'est en anglais.
Mais c'est délicieux. Oui, oui. Merci, monsieur.
It's a strange feeling as you approach the end of a ride. Suddenly, it's almost over. How did it go so quickly? And then you realize that it hasn't. Your body's changed for a start. The hills are stored in your leg muscles. The memorable meals elsewhere. The journey is still with you. You just happen to have come to the place where the road runs out. It was near Montpellier, just past Villeneuve-les-Maguelons, that I came once again to the Canal du Midi, no longer a companion, but a last barrier.
Merci, monsieur. Ah, c'est qu'est-ce qu'il y a au-delà?
C'est la cathédrale de Maguelone.
Ah, cathédrale. Et au-delà de ça?
Derrière, vous avez la mer.
Ah, la mer. Et après ça, Afrique.
Après l'Afrique, oui.
Alors, c'est un peu comme la fin du monde ici, n'est-ce pas?
Pareil, oui, c'est la fin. Derrière, il n'y a plus rien. Il y a la mer et ensuite l'Afrique. Et c'est fini.
Alors, merci, monsieur. Au revoir.
Bonne journée.
Highways that you rush over in a car are soon gone. But on a bike, you're so much part of the land you travel that the memories remain with you. The road stays in your mind for a long, long time.